The sky was dark and broken. A large spaceship, burning from the inside, fell from the clouds like a dying bird. It screamed as it crashed into the cold, rocky ground of an unknown planet. Pieces of metal flew everywhere. Fire spread. Smoke rose high. From the wreckage, something small moved. A hand. Then a face. A girl. Her name was Zira. She was only 12 years old. Her skin was light purple, and her eyes glowed soft blue. Her breathing was weak. She pulled herself out of the broken ship, coughing, her legs shaking. Her clothes were torn. Her arm was bleeding. But she was alive. Zira looked up at the sky. No help was coming. She was alone. Before the crash, the ship had been full of refugees. Zira's people were running from war. They said the ship had too much weight. When the engine started to fail, they threw out the weak and the injured. Zira had been asleep when it happened. When she woke up, everyone was gone. The escape pods were missing. The ship was falling. They left her behind. She walked away from the burning wreck, slowly and carefully. Her body hurt, but the fear inside her was stronger. She needed to survive. She needed to find food, water, shelter. The planet looked empty. No trees, no animals, just rocks, hills, and cold air. As night came, the temperature dropped. Zira found a cave and crawled inside. She wrapped herself in some old cloth from the wreck. She held a small metal piece in her hand, the last part of her old life. Her fingers were cold. Her stomach growled. She closed her eyes, hoping sleep would take the pain away. But the night was not quiet. Zira opened her eyes to a sound. A low growl, then another. Something was out there. She held her breath. The sounds came closer. Footsteps. Heavy ones. She moved deeper into the cave and stayed very still. A shadow passed near the entrance. Then another. She saw red eyes glowing in the dark. She wanted to scream, but she stayed silent. The creatures outside made strange noises, like talking, but rough and deep. Zira did not understand the language. She watched as they sniffed the air. One of them looked inside the cave. Zira pressed herself against the stone wall, heart beating fast. The creature looked for a few seconds, then walked away. In the morning, she came out slowly. There were strange marks in the dirt, footprints, not animal, but almost human. She followed them carefully, staying low, hiding behind rocks. After some time, she reached a hill. Below it, there was something strange. She saw them clearly now. They were tall, strong, and dirty. Their skin was different shades: brown, black, pale. Their eyes were sharp. Their clothes were made from alien animal skins. Some had scars on their faces. One man, the tallest, had a robotic arm. They looked like humans, but they were wild. Zira watched them from behind a rock. They were around a fire. On the fire was meat, alien meat, big and red. One man pulled it off the fire and started eating. Not with a fork or knife, but with his hands. He bit into it like a beast. Blood ran down his mouth. The others laughed and did the same. Zira felt sick. These humans were not like the ones from her stories. These were monsters. She wanted to run back, but then she saw something strange. One of them, a woman with short hair and a scar over her eye, was giving a small creature water, a baby animal. It was hurt. The woman cleaned its leg and wrapped it with cloth. The baby animal made a soft noise. The woman smiled. Zira was confused. Monsters don't show kindness, right? Suddenly, the wind changed. Zira froze. One of the humans, an old man with long white hair, looked up. He sniffed the air. Then he turned his head toward her. She ducked behind the rock, heart racing. Footsteps came toward her. Closer, closer. Then silence. Zira peeked out. A man was standing just a few feet away. He was tall and broad, with a deep scar across his cheek. His eyes were dark, but not angry. He didn't speak. He just bent down and placed something on the ground, a piece of cooked meat. Then he walked away. Zira stared at the food. Was it a trap? Was he trying to poison her? She didn't know. But her stomach growled again. She waited a few minutes. Then, slowly, she crawled forward, grabbed the food, and ran back into the cave. Inside the cave, she ate quickly, hands shaking. The meat was warm and soft. Her body felt stronger. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time in days, she didn't feel like dying. That night, she listened again. The same footsteps came near the cave. This time, they didn't stop. They just left another piece of food and walked away. Zira didn't understand these humans. They were dangerous, maybe even killers. But they were feeding her, watching her, helping her. She whispered to herself in her own language. Why? The wind outside howled again. But this time, she didn't feel so afraid. Someone out there knew she was alive. The next morning, Zira woke up early. Her body felt a little stronger. She had eaten meat for the last 2 days. It tasted strange, but it gave her energy. Every night, the humans left food outside the cave and walked away. They never came close. They never spoke, but they always returned. Zira didn't know what to think. She had been told humans were violent, dangerous, and cruel. They were called carnivores by her people, meat eaters who destroyed anything weak. But these humans were helping her, without saying a word. She decided to follow them. Zira waited until the sun was high in the sky. Then she left the cave and walked quietly in the direction the humans had gone. She stayed low and kept her distance. Her bare feet made no sound on the dry ground. After some time, she reached a wide open space between the hills. She climbed a small rock and lay flat, looking down. The humans were there. They were hunting. Zira watched as one of them pointed at a moving shadow between the rocks. A large animal, with horns and thick fur, ran across the valley. The humans moved fast. 2 men chased it from the front, while 3 others came from behind. They carried spears, knives, and sharp metal tools. One man jumped high and threw a spear. The spear hit the animal in the leg. It screamed and fell. Before it could stand again, 2 others attacked it. Blood spilled on the ground. The animal fought back, but it was no match for the humans. In minutes, it was dead. Zira covered her mouth. She felt sick again. The humans started cutting the body. They pulled out the meat and put it in large bags made from skin. One of them laughed and bit into a raw piece. Blood ran down his chin. The others joined him. They were eating right there. No fire, no cooking. She had seen enough. These were flesh eaters. Monsters. Wild. But just as she turned to leave, she heard a shout. Wait. Zira froze. A voice. In her language. Soft, clear, and careful. She turned around slowly. A man was standing behind her. He was the same one who had left food near the cave. The tall one with the scar on his cheek. Don't run, he said. His voice was deep but not angry. You don't have to be afraid. Zira didn't move. I saw you last night, he said. You were watching us. I left food because you looked hungry. She stared at him. Why? She asked. He smiled, just a little. Because someone once helped me when I was starving. She didn't answer. My name is Rix, he said. Commander Rix. I was a soldier before I came here. Zira looked at his clothes. They were dirty and torn, but she noticed a small metal badge on his shoulder. It had a symbol she didn't know. Maybe a military mark from long ago. Where are your people? He asked gently. They left me, Zira said. On the ship. They flew away. Rix's face changed. He looked sad. He sat down on a rock, slowly, so he didn't scare her. They did the same to us, he said. A long time ago. Zira's eyes widened. You too. Rix nodded. We were a special team. A mission gone wrong. Our own people thought we were dead. They never came back. Then how did you survive? He looked around. We became like the animals. We hunted. We fought. We stayed alive. Zira looked down at the valley. The other humans were now cleaning the area and packing the meat. One woman waved at Rix, asking if he was okay. He waved back. You eat raw meat, Zira said quietly. He looked at her. Yes, we didn't have fire at first. We had no tools, no help. We ate what we could. Then, it became normal. Zira looked confused. But it's not normal. Rix shrugged. Maybe not to you. But when you're dying, normal doesn't matter. Only survival matters. There was silence between them. You're not like what they told us, Zira finally said. Rix smiled. Maybe we're not what anyone expected. He stood up and offered her a small fruit-like object. We found this near the river. You might like it more than meat. She took it slowly and smelled it. It was sweet. She bit into it. It was soft and juicy. For the first time in many days, she smiled a little. You can come with us, Rix said. We'll protect you. Zira looked at the valley again. At the humans who had become hunters. They were rough, dirty, scary, but not evil. Not monsters. Maybe they were just survivors, like her. I'm not strong, she said. You will be, Rix replied. You just need time. That night, Zira didn't sleep in the cave. She sat near the fire with the others. They didn't speak much, but they gave her food and water. One woman even handed her a warm blanket made of animal skin. As she sat there, watching the stars, she whispered to herself, maybe I'm not alone anymore. Zira stayed close to the humans now. She still didn't speak much, and she always kept her distance, but she followed them wherever they went. The one named Rix stayed near her, not too close, not too far. He gave her space. The others looked at her with curious eyes, but no one was unkind. They all understood what it felt like to be left behind. The humans lived in a small camp between the hills. Their shelter was made from broken parts of their own crashed ship and animal bones. It wasn't beautiful, but it was strong. Inside, there were sleeping mats, fire pits, and water jars made from alien shells. Everything was made by hand. Nothing came from a machine. Zira was amazed. These people had survived here for many years. No technology, no help, just skill, strength, and teamwork. One night, as she sat near the fire, she heard laughter. The humans were telling stories. They spoke in their own language, but sometimes they used words she understood. Words like Earth, war, mission, and family. One man pointed to the stars and said something about going home. Then he laughed bitterly. Zira understood. There was no home anymore. She ate the cooked meat slowly. She still didn't like it, but she was getting used to it. Her body felt stronger. Her wounds had healed. She no longer shook from hunger. Rix came and sat beside her. You're healing fast, he said. Zira nodded. The food helps. Rix looked into the fire. We didn't think we'd ever see another person out here. Then you came. You helped me, Zira said. Why? Rix smiled slightly. Because we're not monsters. Zira looked at the others. A man was sharpening a bone knife. A woman was fixing a trap. A child, a small boy with dirt on his face, was drawing shapes in the sand. They all looked wild, yes, but not evil. They laughed, they helped each other, they even sang sometimes. One day, Zira asked Rix, were you really soldiers? Yes, he said. We were sent on a mission. We were told it was a rescue, but it was a lie. They used us. Then they left us here. Zira looked down. My people did the same. They said I was weak, useless. Rix frowned. You're not useless. You survived a crash. You didn't give up. That means something. Zira looked at her hands. They were small, but no longer shaking. Rix said, Let me show you something. He took her to a small cave near the camp. Inside were drawings on the walls. Simple lines and shapes. Some showed ships. Others showed humans fighting creatures. One drawing showed a hand reaching out to another. We made these when we thought we'd go crazy, Rick said. It reminded us who we were. Zira stared at the drawings. They were full of pain, but also hope. The days passed. Zira learned how to make fire, how to cook, how to use a knife. A woman named Mura taught her how to trap small animals. A man named Jash showed her how to find water. The boy with the dirty face gave her a flower once. She smiled and kept it in a cloth. Still, part of her was afraid. Afraid of getting too close. Afraid they might leave her too, one day. One evening, a loud sound came from the sky. Everyone stopped moving. Heads turned. The sound grew louder. A ship was coming. Not falling. Flying. Controlled. Clean. Shiny. Zira's eyes widened. A rescue ship. The humans didn't smile. Rick's looked serious. He held up a hand. Hide. Now. Zira followed him behind a rock. From the shadows, she watched the ship land in the valley. It was small, fast, military style. 3 figures stepped out. They wore armor. They moved like hunters. That's not a rescue team, Rix whispered. That's a tracker unit. From my people? Zira asked. Yes, he said. They're not here to help. They're looking for something. Zira's heart beat fast. Me? Maybe. The soldiers walked around the crash site from Zira's old ship. They scanned the area with small glowing devices. One of them spoke into a communicator. They're searching for data, Rick said. Your ship must have had something they want. Zira's hands shook. They left me to die. Now they come back because they need something. Rix nodded. That's how they work. Use you, then leave you. Zira felt anger rise in her chest. These were her people, but they had treated her worse than strangers. The soldiers moved closer to the camp. Rix signaled his group silently. Everyone hid. Spears ready. Blades drawn. No one spoke. One of the soldiers found a trail. Zira's footprints. He followed it toward the camp. Zira looked at Rix. They'll find us. Not if we move fast, he said. But we won't run. Why not? Because this is our home now, and you are one of us. Zira felt a strange feeling inside. Fear, yes, but also strength. She wasn't a weak little girl anymore. She had changed. The humans had changed her. Then we fight, she said. Rix looked at her and smiled. Yes, we fight. Zira watched the soldiers move through the valley. Their silver armor glowed under the fading sunlight. They looked strong, clean, and sharp. They looked like heroes. But to Zira, they were ghosts from a past that had left her behind. Rix signaled with his hand. The humans around the camp moved like shadows, silent, quick. They had done this before. Zira crouched beside a rock, holding a small knife. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands did not shake. Not anymore. The lead soldier stopped near one of the traps. He looked at the broken bones and skins left behind. Then he spoke into his wrist device. Zira could not hear the words, but she saw the way his body tensed. He knew someone was here. Another soldier scanned the area with a round glowing tool. When it passed over the ground near Zira's hiding spot, it made a loud beep. Zira's breath caught in her throat. Footsteps came closer. The soldier stepped around the rock and froze. Zira stared up at him. He stared back. His helmet reflected her face. She looked nothing like the small, scared girl who had been left behind. The soldier raised his weapon slowly, not to shoot, but to scan. Zira. Target located, he said. Alive. Zira narrowed her eyes. Now you come. He paused. You're valuable. The ship had information, genetic data. It was lost during the crash. We need you. Zira stood slowly. She saw Rix move closer in the corner of her eye. "You left me," she said. "You left me to die." "That was not the plan," the soldier replied. "There was panic. We had to save the strongest." Zira took a step forward. "I was strong. I survived." The soldier seemed surprised. "You've changed." "Yes," she said, "because they helped me." She pointed to the humans behind the rocks. "The ones you call monsters. Those are not your people," the soldier said sharply. "They're dangerous. They eat flesh." "They saved me," she replied. "You didn't." The soldier raised his hand. "We don't want to hurt you, Zira. Come with us. Give us the data. We'll take you home." Zira looked past him to the ship. Smooth, fast, beautiful. It could take her far away from this harsh planet. Warm food, clean clothes, safety. Then she looked back at the camp. Rix, Mara, Jace, the child who gave her the flower, the fire that warmed her, the people who had fed her, protected her, taught her to live. "Home," she said softly. "I already found it." The soldier's eyes turned cold. "We will take you by force if needed." Rick stepped forward, weapon in hand. "No, you won't." Suddenly, everything moved fast. The humans leaped from the rocks. Spears flew through the air. The soldiers shouted and raised their weapons. One shot burned a hole in a stone. Another hit the ground near Zira's feet. Rix tackled the lead soldier to the ground. Mara and Jace took down the second one, knocking the scanner out of his hands. The third soldier tried to run to the ship, but Zira was faster. She threw a sharp bone tool that hit his leg. He fell with a cry. The fight didn't last long. The soldiers were trained, but not for this place. Not for wild humans who had lived in pain and hunger for years. The soldiers had machines, but the humans had something stronger: will. When it was over, 2 soldiers were tied. One was injured. The ship sat quietly, untouched. Zira stood in the middle, breathing hard. Her hands were dirty. Her clothes were torn, but her eyes were clear. Rix came to her side. "You did well." Zira looked at the soldiers. "What do we do with them?" "We wait," he said. "They'll send more." Zira nodded. "Let them come." The humans moved quickly now. They searched the ship. It had food, tools, medicine. Rix took what they needed. Then they used the ship's own system to send a signal, not a message for help, but a warning. "This world is not empty," the message said, "and its people are not weak." That night, Zira sat by the fire again. The stars above her were the same, but she was not. She was no longer just a scared alien girl. She was one of them now. Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. "You made a choice." "Yes," Zira said, "and I don't regret it." Rix handed her a blade, not for defense, but as a symbol. "You are one of us now," he said. Zira took it. It felt heavy in her hand, but right. Far away in the black sky, another ship moved silently. Zira didn't know what was coming next, but she knew one thing for sure. She would never be abandoned again. Zira stood on the edge of the cliff, staring up at the stars. The night was quiet. Only the soft crackle of the fire behind her broke the silence. The others were sleeping. Rix had told her to rest, but she couldn't. Something in the air felt wrong. For 3 days, the humans had been preparing. The stolen ship from the soldiers had given them supplies, food packs, weapons, energy cells. But it had also given them something else: fear. Rix had decoded part of the soldiers' orders. A second team was coming. Bigger, better armed. These new ones wouldn't ask questions. They wouldn't care if Zira was alive or dead. All they wanted was what she carried inside her: the data from her crashed ship, the genetic map of her species, her DNA. Zira didn't even understand it fully, but she knew this. They didn't want her because they missed her. They wanted her because she was useful, a tool. But she was done being a tool. The wind brushed her face. She looked down at her hands. scared, calloused. These were not the hands of a weak girl anymore. These were the hands of a fighter. Behind her, Rix appeared, quiet as always. "You feel it too?" he asked. She nodded. "Something is coming." He sat beside her on a rock. The night before a battle always feels like this. Heavy, still, like the air is holding its breath. Zira looked at him. "Do we have a plan?" He smiled without joy. "We hold the valley. The ship has shields. The traps are ready. We'll fight smart. From the shadows." Zira's eyes burned. "I don't want to hide anymore." "You won't," Rick said. "You'll lead." Zira stared at him. "Me? You know them better than we do. You know how they think. That gives us a chance." Zira said nothing. The idea of leading scared her, but the idea of losing everyone here scared her more. The next morning, the sky changed. A deep, low hum rolled over the hills. Everyone looked up. A large ship appeared, black and wide like a flying blade. It hovered above the crash site, then slowly dropped toward the valley. Zira stood in front of the camp, her knife at her side, her eyes steady. The ship opened, but this time it wasn't soldiers that came out. It was machines. 3 tall robots stepped onto the ground. Their arms were weapons, their heads turned with smooth, clicking movements. No faces, no voices. "They sent drones," Mara whispered. "No hearts, no fear." Jace cursed. "We can't scare metal." Zira stepped forward. "Then we break it." The battle started fast. The humans struck from both sides of the valley. Traps snapped, ropes pulled, spikes launched. One robot exploded when it stepped into a pit of sharpened bones. Another was hit by an energy blast from the stolen soldier gun. But the third robot didn't stop. It kept moving, scanning, firing. Zira ran as it shot a beam at the camp, burning a hole in the ground. The robot turned toward her. She didn't run. She jumped. Using the broken wing of the old escape pod as a ramp, she launched herself into the air. The robot raised its arm to shoot, but she was already on top. She stabbed the knife deep into the back of its neck. Sparks flew. It shook violently. Then it fell. The battlefield went silent. Smoke rose into the sky. The ground was black with burn marks. But the humans were alive. All of them. Zira stood in the smoke, her body shaking, her hands bloody, but her eyes bright. "We won," she whispered. Rix came to her. "No, you led us to win." But the victory didn't last long. From the dead robot's body, a soft beat began. A red light blinked. Zira leaned in and saw the symbol. A beacon. It had sent a signal before it died. "They know," she said. "They're coming." Rix looked at the others. "We need to leave." "But where?" Mara asked. Zira looked at the sky. "We go where they won't follow. Into the Red Mountains." Jace frowned. "No one comes back from there." Zira nodded. "Exactly." The humans packed quickly. The stolen ship was left behind, useless now. The robots had damaged its core. But they had enough supplies to move. And they had each other. As they walked toward the glowing red rocks in the distance, Zira looked back one last time. Smoke still curled into the sky. She didn't feel sad. She felt ready. Ahead of them, danger waited. But so did freedom. The Red Mountains rose like teeth from the earth, sharp, tall, red as dried blood. The sun burned hotter here, and the air was thin. Every step felt heavy. Zira and the humans moved slowly through narrow paths and rocky cliffs. No birds, no animals, just silence and dust. "This place is dead," Jace muttered, wiping sweat from his face. "No," Rix replied. "It's hiding something." Zira could feel it too. Something ancient lived here, not in the light, but deep below. The ground sometimes hummed under their feet, a low sound, almost like breathing. They made camp in a cave near the top of a ridge. It was small but safe. The entrance was narrow, easy to guard. They had enough food and water for 5 days. Maybe 6 if they rationed. Everyone was tired, but no one complained. Zira sat near the edge of the cave and looked at the valley far below. Smoke still rose from their old camp. She wondered how many ships would come next. Would they burn the planet just to take her? She closed her eyes and whispered, "I'm not yours anymore." That night, the wind changed. It howled through the rocks like a scream. Strange shadows danced on the cave walls. The fire crackled, then dimmed suddenly, as if something had stolen its warmth. Zira woke from a nightmare. She had seen metal hands pulling her into the ground, cold voices repeating her name. When she sat up, she saw Rix already awake, staring at the entrance. "Something's out there," he said. They listened. A sound came from the rocks outside. Not footsteps, something smoother, like sliding stone. Rix raised his blade. Mara and Jace grabbed their weapons. Zira stood slowly, her knife in hand. The sound grew louder. Then it stopped. A moment later, something entered the cave. Not a person, not a machine. It was tall, thin. Its body was made of black stone and glowing blue lines. No face, no mouth, but it moved with purpose. Everyone froze. The creature didn't attack. It simply stood there, watching, or sensing. Zira stepped forward. "Who are you?" The creature tilted its head. Then a voice came, not from its mouth, but inside their minds. "You wake the mountains." Zira flinched. "What do you mean?" "We slept. For many years. You brought war, noise, blood." Rick stepped beside her. "We didn't want war. But war follows you. It always does." Zira looked at the creature. "We were running, hiding. They chased us. And now they come here. To us." The cave began to tremble. Small rocks rolled down the walls. From deep below, more lights appeared, blue like veins in the stone. Other figures were waking. More of these mountain beings, slowly, silently. Jace whispered, "How many are there?" "Too many," Mara said. The first being spoke again. "We will not fight your war, but we will not let the skyburners destroy us." Zira took a breath. "Then help us. Hide us. Teach us how to stay." The creature paused. Then it said, "You carry the key inside you. You are not only chased, you are followed." Zira felt cold. "They're tracking me." "Yes, but not with machines. With code. Your blood calls to them." Rick stepped forward. "Can we break the signal? We can change it, bury it, but it will hurt." Zira didn't move. "Do it." "No," Rick said. "You don't know what it means." Zira looked at him. "If I don't do this, they'll find us. All of us. I won't let that happen." The creature raised its hand. A soft light surrounded Zira. She felt her body grow heavy. Her vision blurred. Her skin burned like fire. But she didn't scream. She didn't fall. She stood still, silent. The pain lasted a long time, or maybe just seconds. Time didn't feel normal. Then it was over. Zira collapsed. Rix caught her. The light faded. The creature spoke again. "The signal is gone. You are no longer theirs." Zira opened her eyes. She was weak, but free. The creature turned to leave. "Wait," Zira said. "Why help us?" The being paused. "Because we know what it feels like to be hunted." Then it vanished into the stone. The humans said nothing for a long time. Zira lay on her back, staring at the ceiling of the cave. She had lost something tonight, part of herself. But she had gained something too. A choice. Tomorrow, the hunters might come again. But this time, they would not find prey. They would find survivors. And something more. The morning came slowly. The red mountains glowed in the rising sun. Zira sat on a high rock, wrapped in a blanket. Her body still ached from what the stone creatures had done, but inside she felt different. Lighter, quieter. The signal in her blood was gone. She was finally free. Below, the humans moved carefully. They packed their few supplies, checked the traps, watched the skies. No one spoke much. Everyone knew what was coming. The enemy would arrive soon, stronger, faster, and angry. They had lost soldiers, robots, and a ship. Now they would bring fire to finish what they started. Rix climbed up beside Zira. He looked at the horizon, then at her face. "How do you feel?" "Tired," Zira said, "but ready." He nodded. "We may not win this time." "I know," she said, "but they won't take us." Far across the sky, a shadow moved. Dark, long, silent. A warship. It dropped through the clouds like a falling sword. Everyone in the valley stopped moving. Even the wind seemed to pause. Zira stood and called down to the camp. "Get to position." The humans ran without panic. They had trained. They had prepared. They had nothing left to lose. The ship hovered over the mountains. A voice echoed through the air, calm, cold, in Zira's old language. "Zira 43. Return the data. You will be spared. The others will not." Zira stepped into the open and shouted back in the same tongue, her voice clear. "You're too late. The signal is dead. I am not yours." There was silence. Then the ship opened. Troops dropped from the sky. Dozens. Black armor. Heavy weapons. No faces, just mirrored helmets. They moved fast. But the humans were ready. Rocks exploded. Spears flew. Hidden launchers fired pieces of metal, fire, and bone. Rix led a team around the left ridge, attacking from behind. Mara set off a trap that filled the air with smoke and fire. Zira moved through the chaos, using speed and surprise. She struck, vanished, then struck again. But the enemy kept coming. Then the mountain moved. From deep below, blue lights rose again. Cracks opened in the stone. The ancient stone beings came forward, silent and bright. The soldiers turned to shoot, but their weapons failed. Energy flickered. Lights died. The stone beings walked through fire like it was air. Zira stood beside one of them. "You came back." The being spoke only one word. Balance. The mountain itself began to shake. Huge rocks fell. The sky turned red with smoke. Zira ran to Rix, grabbed his arm. "We have to leave." He nodded. "To the ridge. There's a path." The humans retreated, climbing through falling rocks and burning air. Behind them, the mountain swallowed the enemy. The ship tried to rise, but the sky cracked open with lightning. The beings lifted their arms, and a bolt of energy struck the ship. It broke in two, fell, and vanished into the fire. The earth roared. Then silence. Hours passed. The sun began to set. Zira stood at the top of a distant hill. Below, the red mountains smoked and burned. The enemy was gone. The signal was gone. The ship was gone. Everything that once chased her had ended here. The others gathered around her, dirty, tired, alive. Jace sat on a rock. "So, now what?" Mara smiled weakly. "We rebuild." Rix looked at Zira. "You decide." Zira looked at the sky. The stars were bright, endless. "I think we stay," she said. "We make this place our home." "You sure?" Rix asked. She nodded. "This time, no one runs. No one hides. We make a future here, together." Rix held out his hand. She took it. And so, the hunted became the builders. The lost became the leaders. Zira, once abandoned and broken, had found a place where she belonged. And no one, not machines, not ships, not war, would take it from her again. The stars watched in silence, but they would remember this world. A world where humans and aliens stood side by side. A world where the weak became strong. A world where the signal ended with fire.